Hey everyone, it's me, Yvonne Emil Elizondo from Silver Moon Astrology and Transpersonal Counseling, also known as Silver Moon Counseling. And we have an amazingly powerful eclipse, lunar eclipse happening today on, what's today? 5/5/2023. May 5th, 2023. I hope everyone celebrated May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I love Star Wars. It's one of my favorites. We're actually binging all of the Star Wars movies right now. So I was pretty excited about this. Anyhow, let's talk about this lunar eclipse in Scorpio. This is a doozy, y'all. It is going to be a massively powerful completion type of eclipse. And again, with every eclipse, we have an ending, but there's also a beginning, right? So this is the end of the eclipse cycle, especially in Scorpio. So we won't see that for a while. And it has been quite a ride. At least it has been for me in that part of my chart, the Scorpio part of my chart. So I want to show you the chart. I want to give you some idea of what this lunar eclipse could potentially, entail, and give you some ways to use the energy and maybe to help mitigate some of the energy as it might show up for you. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart. I'm going to share my screen again. Here we go. Alrighty. So here we go. So we do have this lunar eclipse. Now, keep in mind that a lunar eclipse is a super full moon, right? It's like a super intense full moon where usually a full moon is the energy of it maybe lasts for, a month, well, till the next new moon. So there you go. But this is like a 6-month cycle that we're looking at here. Okay. And it is a culminating energy. So let's take a look at, please do not pay attention to the houses. I have this set for my local time, which will be Friday, May the 5th, as I said, at 12:30 p.m. And so I have the chart set for the ascendant at my time. So don't pay attention to the houses, right? These are the houses. Like, don't pay attention to the houses. Okay. All we're really going to focus on is the placement of these planets and get a good idea of what energy they'll be working with. So here we go. We have this moon close to the south node. Here's the south node. This is why it is an eclipse, and it is in Scorpio. So we're going to talk about this lunar eclipse and what the south node represents. And then, of course, on the opposite side of a polarity, every time that we have a full moon, we do have the opposite side of the polarity, and that would be here, the sun. The sun is in Taurus, so happy birthday, Taurus people, today. And the sun is hanging out with Uranus and Mercury retrograde. And then, of course, here we have the North Node. But we're really going to focus on this part of the chart because this is where the moon is hanging out. And so that is what we are going to be talking about. Okay, so with that being said, let's focus on eclipses. Again, I don't want to go too deep into like the technical point of eclipses, but especially with the lunar eclipses tend to be more culminating energy, completion energy, whereas solar eclipses, which we had 2 weeks ago, the solar eclipse in Aries was really much about beginnings of these new cycles, whether it's the 6-month cycle, the 9th-month cycle, or the 18-month cycle, okay? And basically, the reason for the 18-month cycle is because that south node, those horseshoes that I showed you, the south node and the north node, transition signs about every 18 months or so, right? So that's kind of the longer cycle. Okay, let's talk about this eclipse though. All right, so let's focus on the moon. The moon is really a representation of our sense of safety and comfort. It's kind of like the default response system, emotional default response system that we each have. So each of us, depending on where our moon is, okay, is going to respond emotionally and with a sense of safety and a sense of comfort to some extent, based on where their moon is in the astrology in their chart, right? This lunar eclipse is going to bring up the energy of Scorpio, okay? Now, again, eclipses are very powerful times. The moon is going to be hidden, right? It's like, imagine the ancients taking a look at the moon going, wow, amazing, beautiful full moon. And then it gets covered up and it's like, oi, okay, so the light of the full moon isn't available to us. All right, so this eclipse, and the reason I say it's powerful is because we have it very close to relatively close. It's an eclipse, okay, to the south node. Now, the south node was that upside down horseshoe that I showed you, okay? The south node in astrology represents the past, the karmic past, the childhood past. It represents the baggage that you don't really need to carry anymore. It represents the stuff that you've mastered and that you really need to move away from. Okay. And so it is the more challenging or shadow side of eclipses. Okay, so whenever the moon or the sun are close to the south node, it really is about taking account the stuff that doesn't suit you anymore, the baggage that you don't need to carry around anymore. And so that means that in Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, we're going to see the underbelly of Scorpio more than anything. And the underbelly is really the shadow side of Scorpio. Okay, so I have an itch in my nose. There we go. There's a lot of mold going on here. Try not to sneeze. Okay, so we're looking at this at the shadow side of Scorpio more than anything. So sorry, Scorpion people, not trying to pick on you, but this is the energy that we're predominantly working with. Okay, so Scorpio energy, right? The underbelly, the more shadow side of Scorpio energy. It is a fixed water sign. So those of you that have fixed signs or close to the, significant points like the ascendant, the midheaven, the descendant, and the IC, you might feel this a little bit more. If you have any planets close to the eclipse point, okay, you're also going to, feel this a little bit more. Now, let me give you the exact eclipse point because I closed the chart. So let me look at the eclipse point because this is kind of important. Don't you think? Yes, Yvonne, this is kind of important. Okay, the eclipse point at 14:58, so 14 degrees, 58 minutes is when the eclipse happens. So any planets within 4 to 5 degrees, 3 to 4 degrees of that 14:58, they're going to probably feel this eclipse more so than not. Did you see how dirty these things are? Wow. How do I even see out of those? When my daughter was young, I would tell her, clean your glasses, clean your glasses. Yeah, so much for that. So yes, so any planets around that point, you're probably going to feel more than not. My daughter is having this eclipse smack on top of her Venus in the 5th house of dating in Scorpio. Okay. And she's been telling me the last 3 days, Mom, I'm getting like guys coming and like DMing me that I don't even know. She's like a crazy amount of like out of the blue. She's like, I don't even know them. Okay. So anyways, let's talk about the Scorpion energy, right? It is a fixed water sign. So there's going to be emotion involved with this. And that's why I'm saying this is going to be a very powerful emotional eclipse energy, because Scorpio energy likes to go in deep, but sometimes it goes in so deep that it has a difficult time finding the surface again. Okay. It is about the underbelly of Scorpio. It is about secrets. It's about betrayal. It's about obsession. Okay. Obsession is a big one. It's about power, control, trying to exacerbate or force your essence or your will upon the either the collective or upon somebody else, or you just trying to control your experience so much that you become either obsessed with it and you kind of forget everything else that's going on, or you're fighting the need for control. Okay, so I'll share with you the little tidbit here. So I have been exactly a year ago, May 17th. Okay. I had a medical procedure done, and it has been hell every single day of my life since then, every single day. Okay. And been working on it. It was something pretty traumatic that happened. And so anyhow, long story short, I've been working on it, and I realized that 2 days before this procedure, I had the eclipse. We all had the eclipse in Scorpio. Yeah. Okay. And there was the underbelly of Scorpio at that time as well. Okay. So two days later, I have this procedure. Should have planned it differently. Yvonne, what were you thinking? And been working through it. So this time around, this has been a year. Okay. And here we are back in Scorpio, and I refuse to let this get the best of me. Okay. My career took off like a rocket. My family, great. My friends, good. But me, okay. So I have been working to release, okay, all of that emotional trauma and physical trauma that's been happening. And this is the eclipse for me. This is when I said, I'm done. Like I'm taking my body back. Like I'm give it back, because you don't get it. Okay. That's the type of energy that we're working with. It's almost like if you've had this struggle okay, for an extended period of time, and you're coming to a conclusion to say, you know, I don't need to carry that trauma. I don't need to carry that, you know, that baggage, that emotional stuff. I don't need to carry what it is that I don't need anymore. I don't need to go back into the underbelly, whatever that is for you. And with Scorpio, it is very much the emotional obsession control underbelly. And so for a year, I've tried to control this, you know, condition. Okay. And I realized here, you know, it kind of comes and goes, you know, kind of come and went, came and went, come and went. It came and went, you know, this entire year where there was this power play where I was like, I need to control it. And then I was like, no, you don't need to control it. You need to holistically take care of it, but I need to control it. And you need to holistically contain it. And every time I dove into the control, I found fear and despair and just anger and just a lot of emotion that I needed to purge, that I'm still purging, but I realized that I don't need to live in it. And so you might be experiencing something like this, or you might have a friend or a relative or a loved one that is going through something similar. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a health condition. It could be, you know, an emotional crisis. It could be, you know, financial issue that creates an emotional crisis. It could be a relational, you know, situation, whatever it may be. But this is going to be a really great time to recognize that it's about trusting the process. Okay. And that's what I've learned the most. And so whatever process it is that you're tapping into. So let me show you the chart again, because this is really cool. So here we have this, you know, underbelly of Scorpio energy that can go really deep, be broody, be obsessed, try to control. But the opposite, the polarity is really what we're being asked to dive into. Okay. And the polarity is in Taurus. And Taurus is about your physical experience. Okay. It's about the attainment of the body. Okay. So whereas the emotional piece is the energy within us, if we tap into the body. Now I'm doing somatic therapy. Okay. I have an amazing therapist. Okay. And she's all about somatic therapy. And if you don't know about somatic therapy, I suggest you really, research it, because it is about healing the body, right? So all of these emotions and all of this trauma gets stuck in our body. And sometimes we have a difficult time releasing it. Like I have been having a really difficult time releasing this, you know, sense of trauma. And so now we have somatic therapy. And now this is exactly what Taurus is asking us to do. You don't have to do somatic therapy, but what Taurus is asking us to do is to find some grounding. Okay, so this emotional, powerful energy of Scorpio that's saying, get rid of the control, get rid of the obsession, get rid of the need to try to force, you know, your will, okay, upon your life. Get back into the body, get back into grounding, get back into Mother Nature. I was just having a conversation with a couple of clients about, and my brother too, about how grounding, just stepping outside on Mother Earth, creates these beautiful negative ions that we need, you know, to feel grounded. Okay, so if you're having that emotional expression, okay, and the purging of the South Node, which is the purging of the baggage, karmic or otherwise, that you don't need anymore, you might find that the next 6 months you're going to purge, you know, either a little bit at a time. It could be one big purge, right? But the focus then is on grounding. It's on experiencing the emotion in the body and releasing it. It's about recognizing how your environment helps, you know, settle those emotional crisis moments, right? So taking into, this is a tool that I learned, right? It's like orienting. My therapist is awesome. She says, orient yourself in your environment, right? And so I'm like, okay, I love my stuff. I love my bookshelf. Okay, that kind of thing. So it really is about taking account what you no longer need. And although it might be painful to go through and realize, wow, I'm going through some really hard stuff right now, but it's about the purging, because the purging is going to allow me to step into the new phase. And the new phase is about healing. It's about progress. It's about growth, right? So we can't grow if we're still holding on to all of the baggage that we have intentionally or not brought with us. All right, everyone, that is the power of this lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Again, this energy, you know, can manifest throughout the next 6 months. If you want more information on somatic therapy, please reach out. I'll be happy to give you some referrals. I was very resistant, I think, to somatic therapy at first, but wow, it has been, and I say resistant because I didn't know the process of it. And so I didn't really take the time to actually realize that I needed somatic therapy. But then I realized, like, yeah, if you want to heal, you need to heal all the way around. So I'm putting my busy schedule, I'm making time for therapy, just like everybody else should. All right, everyone, if you want to learn more about this eclipse and how it could potentially impact you, okay, please feel free to contact me. You can find me at silvermooncounseling.org. That is silvermooncounseling.org. The other aspect of this is we have that Mercury retrograde, connecting with the sun, okay, and Uranus. And so these opportunities, these different opportunities, outside of the box thinking opportunities to, manage grounding, be ingenious, follow your heart for grounding. Follow your heart for grounding. All right, everyone, take care and blessed be.